Now, the Early Childhood Development is asking Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu to make it possible for the sector to be vaccinated too. In an open letter to the minister, the organization Help SA ECDs says teachers and staff who fall under Zulu's department at ECDs should also be included in the education sector vaccine rollout, which starts today. For more on this, I'm joined by Jenny de Kock, who's co-founder of ECD Owners of South Africa. Ms. de Kock, good to have you with us today. Talk to us about what led you to write this open letter to Minister Zulu.
Well, you know, right from the start, we tended to have been ignored and neglected throughout the whole of lockdown. And we realized we were left out of this, and we are just as important. Our staff are just as vulnerable as the teachers and the educators under DBE. So all the ECD centers that are actually under DBE, because they are connected to primary schools, or if they have grade R 1, 2, and 3, are in the vaccination program. But the standalone ECD centers have been left out.
And what is the reason for this, do you believe?
You know, we wish we knew. We can be very honest to say that throughout the whole process of lockdown, we never get answers. We never get addressed. We hardly know anything. We had to work out for ourselves that we had been left out of this campaign. We just do not get any correspondence or any messages. We just don't know what is happening.
Talk to us about some of the experiences that the ECD sector has gone throughout lockdown.
Well, it started off where we were told that we were not schools. We did not fall under Department of Education. So, you know, from the start, Angie has rallied her troops and she has given information out to her schools. So when when it was announced that the ECD sector could open again, we were all excited. And then we found out that it did not include standalone ECDs. I think sadly the thing is that there's just no communication. We were not told why. We were not told we can't open. And then suddenly it was just, no, you can't open. We're going to start getting you open now. And everybody had gone back to work. Where were their children meant to go? You know, so it started with that. And then it became the stimulus package where DST neglected to put in a good proposal to Treasury. So actually lost 712 million, which could have been allocated to the ECD sector. We did get 496 million allocated. Up until this date, only 40 million of that has been paid out, and that's in the Western Cape. So you've got only 20 to 30% of ECD sectors that are actually open, of the ECD centers, sorry, not sectors, that are actually open, because the others just cannot afford to open.
And how many have actually closed down and basically face non-opening even after the end of the pandemic?
You know, I don't actually have those numbers with me, but it's quite scary. We are hearing almost on a daily basis. I know at one stage it was 6 a day that were closing. They couldn't afford the PPE. They couldn't afford to back pay staff to get staff back at school. This is what the stimulus package was meant for, to help these centers to open. We took DST to court now 3 times. We had to take them to court to get our centers open. We had to take them to court over the non-paying of the stimulus package. We've taken them to court again because they are still not paying out. And they even ignore the court order to pay these things out. It's quite scary, actually. We do not know the reason for it because we are dealing with the most vulnerable sector of society and why they should be the most important sector of society.
It sounds like there's a large level of frustration from your side, and it does sound like your efforts to reach out to the department have not yielded any results for you. You've written now this open letter, which the public is also privy to. What response are you hoping to receive? Have you received any response at all?
We've received nothing. Us as an organization, although there are other organizations that have taken it up, our letter up as well, have emailed it to the relevant parties, to the presidency, to Minister Lindiwe Zulu herself, all over. Up until now, absolutely no response. And I think for us, just talk to us. Say, look, we tried, we couldn't, you are in the next rollout, this is what's happening. It's the communication. You know, Minister Masheka really rallies and fights for her sector. And we feel that we are, as we say, hashtag the forgotten sector.
And that is a hashtag that you have been using. We will try and get some sort of variety of response from Social Development Department and hear what their standpoint is according to all of the points that you're putting here. But there was a report earlier on that during the start of COVID-19, children were thought, especially young children, were thought to be quite safe and untouched by the virus, which may be a reason why the ECDs were not included in this initial rollout. What was your response to that possible scenario?
You know, I'm not a scientist, but if that is the case, then why were we shut and not allowed to open when all the other schools were opening? That's the first thing. Yes, we haven't had that many during the first and second wave children that were infected. Unfortunately, we are finding during the third wave that we are having children testing positive. They don't seem to get as ill as the older children and adults. Quite frankly, they sort of test and they're sick for a day or two, though a few have landed up in hospital. The thing is, it's the staff that are vulnerable. You think of an ECD center. You've got 5 years and under don't have to wear masks. Great, but they're coming from homes maybe where people are positive, asymptomatic, not sure. You've got a child that's crying. Do you think that practitioner is not going to pick that child up? Do you think that practitioner is not going to hug that child? We have to. So as much as we've got the most excellent procedures and protocols in place in our centers, we are working quite closely with the children. We are also working in a school. A teacher tends to kind of go into her classroom, do what she needs to do, and now obviously they're not going in the staff room, they go home. In an ECD sector, the majority of them, the staff work very closely together with the children. So the exposure is there for the staff. Yes, we need to protect our children as well, but the thing is, it is the adults that are succumbing to the virus.
Ms. de Kock, we thank you for your time today and for laying bare the challenges that you're facing as the ECD sector. That's Ms. Jenny de Kock. She's co-founder of ECD Owners South Africa.